Hello out there, Foxes fans, and welcome back to another edition of the U.S. Foxes podcast, coming to you live from all over the United States. For me personally, live from the Homewood Suites here in San Diego, living the hotel life. As for those of you that listen to the pod regularly, you'll know that there's a ceiling or a hole in the ceiling of my apartment. So I thank you all for bearing with me while I come at you from this hotel. We are also joined by our regular co-hosts at various parts of the country as well. Up north here in San Diego, Mr. Chris Warner. What's up, bro?
How you doing, Matt? I'm hoping, mate, that this isn't a Hotel California for you, buddy, and you can get out as quick as possible and get back to beautiful OB.
That's the goal. As you guys will hear, I feel the worst for my dogs, hell versus their normal quiet life. But yeah, we're hanging in there. Also joined by our other co-host in New York from the New York Foxes, Mr. Jason Becker. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, and thanks for giving us a little video tour of the hotel room. That looks like it'll be a $4,000 a month apartment here in New York City. So enjoy it. Hope the insurance company is paying every penny of it.
Yeah. I think we're right there with you on the real estate prices. So I definitely feel your pain there. But yeah, it's the insurance will take care of it, and hopefully they'll get the construction wrapped up sooner rather than later when we get back into our spot. But guys, let's dive right into it. Enough about what I'm dealing with. Let's talk about this team that is frankly making my life. That's one of the bright spots right now in my life is the Leicester City Foxes and how they have historically started the season in a amazing fashion. 3 wins in a row for the first time since 1922-23 season. I don't even know how to, when I saw that tweet stat from Jordan Blackwell, shout out to him, because of course only he would have that kind of information. But Chris, what do you even say about a stat like that, dude?
Mate, it's incredible, isn't it? When you think about it and you think about some of the stuff. Firstly, how long's Blackwell had that sitting there? Every season, he's just been waiting, desperately waiting for it every single time. He finally got it. But yeah, mate, it just sums up some of those, not even in League One. Like you would have thought in League One with that team that we may have done that, but no. Yeah, just incredible. And yeah, it's been a surreal feeling, hasn't it? To like watch your team win. I kind of forgot what that feeling felt like. And there's just nothing quite like it, especially for you and me, Matt. Like 7 o'clock in the morning, we're watching that down at the Bluefort. It just sets your day up. I feel like I'm floating on air as I leave the pub. It's brilliant.
It really does. And is there anything more Leicester City than the fact that we've never had 3 wins in a row? I think that's just to start a season that is just perfect Leicester City. Like no matter, even we got, the seasons where we got 2 in a row and the optimism was buzzing, then we were always, it's just a perfect stat, Jason.
Yeah. You would think with some of our promising starts that we've had in previous seasons, like some false dawns that we've had, that we already done that once. But like you said, lots of credit there to Jordan for sitting on that, because there are, I think, quite a few media personalities around Leicester who love to send out a tweet that just before a game to jinx us. And to his credit, he held on to that, and here we are making history in the championship in 2023, 100 years later.
Yeah, 100 years, guys. That's just crazy to me. So, yeah, guys, Saturday against Huddersfield Town, John Smith Stadium, which I always think looks like one of those when we used to play FIFA and you would do a career mode and they didn't have the licenses for all of the stadiums and there would be like, the fake stadiums. I've always thought John Smith Stadium looks like a fake FIFA 13 stadium. But man, let's talk about the way that our Foxes filled that up. The away support was just incredible, you guys. So loud, so great. The songs all day long, you could hear them all the way in San Diego. They were loud, they were constant. I mean, just incredible support from the away fans, Jason, to make that stadium. I mean, it looked like there were at least 2,000 of them there.
Yeah, I think it was filled up the away, and it looked like, which is great. And with a new season, new players, you get a new chance, and some start off better than others. Some are like going to see a stand-up comedian for the first time, and he's got a bunch of jokes on his iPhone. He's just kind of going through it before he lands on the delivery for a special. But a few of those caught on pretty quickly, pretty early. Steffi Mavididi seems to be a big fan of his chant, and he wants to hear
Yeah.
more of it. It looks like on Twitter every day. So I wonder if he'll tweet about it again tomorrow. But yeah, really good traveling sport. And I think that will be a theme of the season. I think similar to when we went down to League One, we had some pretty good and raucous away ends, and people were just getting used to that winning feeling again. Looking forward to going to some stadiums we haven't been to in a while now. I know Huddersfield had been promoted fairly recently, but still there are going to be a lot of grounds that we haven't had a chance to go to and play in, and a lot of people will be looking to rekindle some old memories or exercise some old demons, or even just tick off a new ground off the list. So it should be some really fun away ends this season, I think, and I do my damn best to get to a few of them this year.
Same here. Yeah, for sure. And on a weird day too, like the weather was just bizarre. One second the sun is shining, the next second it is downpouring, like Shawshank Redemption, Andy's escape out of the tunnel, and then the next second the
Matt, we call
sun is
that
shining
Yorkshire
again.
weather.
It was
That's
so
just called
weird.
Yorkshire weather.
Yorkshire
buddy.
or Ohio. I was gonna say it looks like Ohio because the Ohio Foxes know what I'm
It's
talking
like
about.
one of
but
those things I'm
shit
sure you did it
changes
as a
every
kid.
5 minutes.
Like your parents made you go out with not only the clothes you were wearing, but anticipation for the forthcoming rain shower, 30-degree hour. Like, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, do the cliche. I mean, the stadium's called John Smith. There was nothing. I think that was a ordinary performance by us, but we got the job done, which is the best thing that we could do. I think the best thing that comes out of it is that interesting stat about Huddersfield's first home opponent for the past 3 seasons. They've lost that game, but the team that they've lost to has gone on to get promoted. So I mean, that's
Win the league.
win the league. Sorry, yeah. So that's in our favor.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and that goes along with what I was saying before. Jack Rafferty, I'm looking at you, man. You really tempted fate tweeting that out before the game. So Jason Bourne called you out, but no harm, no foul. Here we are.
Sorry, guys. The dogs are going to be barking. I'm going to try to discourage it as much as possible. So I thank you for putting up with it. But yeah, beautiful day. One of the only things that were more beautiful than that stadium, because it is a proper football ground. That place is gorgeous. The turf looked amazing. Just I love the setup of it. But the only thing prettier were those away kits. Seeing those things in person now on the guys, I think we got a hell of an away kit this year, guys. Your thoughts, Jason, on that away strip? That it really looks good in person.
Yeah. The stash is a little wide for my taste, but all in all, it looks good. And look, I don't care. Anyone who knows me knows I have been lobbying for us to make the black shirt with the blue sash part of our regular rotation. It's part of the heritage of the club. It looks awesome. Generally, like the 2003, 2004 shirt is in long sleeves is I think my favorite Leicester shirt of all time, and I hope it does well enough for the club to make it part of the regular rotation. It did look really sharp, I have to say.
Looked really good. I think they're going to sell a shit ton of those this year. But yeah, Chris, to your point, guy, it's a tough place to play, especially when you got a manager like Neil Warnock over there. Kept calling
Matt,
him
come on, Matt. What, you were not calling him Neil Warnock when we were in the pub on Saturday, mate. Tell the crowd it was great.
The resemblance to Danny DeVito's penguin character from the Batman movie in the 90s is just undeniable. He was looking like the windswept penguin over there in his all teal wind jacket. That was a hell of a look. But man, when you're playing a Neil Warnock team, you're gonna have a hell of a day, Jason. And yeah, it was. I thought the guys did. It was one of those ugly championship games that you got to win, and they did a good job.
Listen, yeah, when you go up against No Deal Neil, you're get ready for Friday. I mean, listen, I do like Neil Warnock. I did think he's a very entertaining
He's
character.
hilarious, man.
And that teal jacket did look pretty strong. He looked like you put some white pants on him, and would look like right at home, just walking around Boca Raton with all the retirees down here in Florida with that jacket. But it was always going to be an ugly game. I think what really impressed me, like on the tactical side, is that Maresca seems to know exactly what Huddersfield were going to do and how they were going to set up. And he sort of did the same, said the same about Burton Albion, said the same, he was right on again about Cov. So that's pretty encouraging to see that the manager like already is kind of, picked up on what the opposition will do and the differences between. So he's called it out ahead of time. It does look like we're very prepared, but as Chris said, it really was not a pretty game. And I think we have to kind of adjust our expectations for this league. I think most of the games are not going to be pretty. The football is so much now. The Premier League's back now, and I think we can all see that the football is so much slower, and the individual, quality also isn't there, like you see on in the Premier League. But we're getting results, and that matters. And I don't think we played the doors off, anyone in the first 3 games, but we have that bit of individual quality, I think, in different parts of the squad that our opposition don't have right now this year. So that may very well turn out to be the difference in most of the games this year if we can keep a hold of some of those better players that we have in the squad this year.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that's most impressive thus far is, despite it being, we've seen, some ugly play, whatever, things have not been great. Enzo has been uncompromising thus far. His style is what he's going to play. And I think, we kind of had question marks. Well, when stuff starts going bad, is he going to be the kind of manager that just sticks to his own style, a la Brendan, no matter what? Or is he going to change it up? And thus far, that answer has been, we're not changing shit. We're playing it from the back, and we're going to live or die with that. And, we saw mixed results with that. Jakub Stolarczyk gets his first league start for us, and he had 3 turnovers that were pretty bad, that really made it evident how much it's going to be on the keeper's shoulders to start play for us. I think that was the biggest thing for me, is that we're going to play this route one, and it's going to start with our keeper. And he must, Mad's injury right now is really giving a chance for Jakub to play. But I think, Chris, that's the first thing that jumped out to me, was it's all going to go through that. It's going to start with the keeper. And yeah, it's going to be important that we got a guy that can play with his feet, obviously.
Yeah, 100%, Matt. 100%. I think the sample size is still too small to kind of think about it on the grand picture, but it will be interesting later in the season when we play middle of the week on a December night. We're 1-0 down, like, just seeing whether his philosophy stays true or whether he goes a little bit more direct. One of the things I think that was evident, especially in the second half, and I think something that we may need to, he'll need to think about, is you could see that Huddersfield did where there were times in the first half, I think of the Pratt chance, and we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later, where 3 or 4 passes, we completely ripped them apart. But in the second half, they definitely developed more of a lower mid block and gave Vestergaard and gave Faust as much space and as much time on the football as they wanted. I think there were moments when Vestergaard was going 20 yards into their half and not being challenged by a single Huddersfield player. And I think that's where we're going to have to get better and think about how can we go and move the ball quickly in those situations. Because I think if we do move it quickly, we're untouchable. And we saw moments like that on Saturday. But I think when it slows down, that's kind of when I think some of the problems may arise. But yeah, you're right about the distribution of the goalkeeper. I thought he was all right. I thought he made a couple of saves when he needed to. But overall, I was so impressed with the physicality of the side. Like Jason says, Warnock, he's going to give you big physical. He's going to teach you. His players are going to get aggressive. And I thought we actually dealt with it quite well. And I think, I know I thought Faust in particular was a highlight for us and somebody that I think is really coming in, whether it's the level or whether it's the system. Hopefully it's the latter, not the former. Could be a bit of both, but thought he was excellent. But I was just impressed with the way that we dealt with the physicality. And yeah, you make your own look in football. We know this. And I think one of the things last year that we struggled with was creating those opportunities to get some luck. And I think in this game, the goal, yes, you could say it was a bit lucky, but ultimately you've got to get in that position to get that shot off and just see what happens. So all in all, yeah, bit normal, not great, but I think there's definitely positives.
And when you talk about the uncompromising nature of the manager, I know it is still a small sample size, but Maresca made a huge statement before we even kicked the ball by naming 2 keepers on the bench. When Sumare is available, Doc is available, Castagna is available. Now we're probably working on deals, and Souters is available, right? And he is not even named on the bench. And so it seems to me that it's very clear that Maresca has his guys that he believes in that can play in the system. He has his players that he seems to want to push out, and he's not going to change. Like, if he's going to play that setup, and he's going to play, Ndidi in the advanced role, or he's going to just jam Pratt in against Burton. He had the opportunity to sub on a striker, to sub on Daka. Chose not to, and said, "That's screw it. We'll just play the rest of the game without a striker." And he's just does not seem like he's going to budge when it comes to the personnel. And he kind of dodged the question a bit artfully, but you have to wonder if that was a little way for him to already nudge the board into finishing up and wrapping up the transfer business, because before we know it, that this window will be closed.
Yeah, I think all of the collective Leicester City Twitter exploded when we saw both Danny Ward and Everson on the bench. I'm totally with you. That is as big of a signal as you can send, I think, going forward. So hopefully we get some of this moving, because there's a lot there that we need to get off the books for and get some in as well, Jason.
Yeah. I guess we probably spent a lot of time on the transfers, but as far as the football goes, I think, Chris, you're right. Like, Foss was my man of the match.
Same.
And I wonder, he's got a lot of motivation here. I mean, I'm sure he was brought in to be the guy to take over for Fofana, and didn't really work out that well last year. And if he's going to keep a spot in the Belgian national team, he's got to stand out, I think, week in and week out, and show that he's above this level when he goes out and plays. And he thought he was everywhere. He handled everything that was thrown at him pretty well. And he showed that he was very mobile. And look, he's going to have to be, I think, with Doyle and Vestergaard back there with him. He's going to have to take up a lot of space on the pitch. And then, I'm really impressed with Mavroidis' just ability to finish a game, and he seems to be in great shape. And first 2 league games, it just was not working out for him the first hour or so. He just doesn't give up. He keeps trying, and he keeps trying to just make something happen, be direct when he has to, force the play, force the issue, and make some luck. And Chris, again, I nailed it again. I think we have players out here that are trying to make our own luck, and we're not going to get discouraged when the game is going against them, and I'm going to keep trying, keep pushing. And he's just been the personification of that this year, and he's got all the makings of a cult hero, man. I really, really, really like this guy. Right away, there's just something so likable about him, and just reminds me of some of those old championship wingers that we had, that we fell in love with, and those attacking players, and the Lloyd Dyers and the Anthony Knockarts and those types of players that just became cult heroes, and we still sing about.
Yeah, the new DD, as we were calling him last week, he's definitely making a name for himself. Just real quick though on Walt because yeah, man of the match for me as well. Not only his play, some of those counter tackles that he made that then sprung the offense forward, where he watches a play develop, almost sees the winger, he knows he's going to make the pass to the guy, so he's creeping up on him, and then he's there to, make that slide tackle that then springs the ball forward and allows us to take up off the wing. It's just really fun to watch. And not only that, but if you watched him, he's a guy that I can see, Maresca's talked about, we're going to have different captains all year, and also shout out Ricky getting his first Captain Ricky. That was incredible to see. So Ricky P getting that captain's armband was amazing. But I think if Wout keeps up this play, as well as, man, he was just barking orders all over the field. He's yelling at Jakob. He's yelling at Vestergaard. He's, in Winks's ear. Like, he's becoming a very, very vocal leader back there. And I would not be surprised at all if we see, this play continues, if he's going to wear the armband for us. If he earns that right, I could definitely see that. But yeah, Mavididi, man, we spoke last week, guys, about, first of all, the confidence to take the number 10, which is awesome, but then to back it up in your first few games here already, making your presence known. That first 30, 45 minutes, he was nowhere to be seen. I don't think he even touched the ball. But to your point, Jason, to stick with it, and players that can take that dead time where they're not getting the touches and are using it to develop, how am I going to beat this guy later? I'm setting him up. Those kind of players are very special. And man, I really, I hope that he is going to be that guy. And thus far, he really looks like it. Not to mention, grabbing the ball kid last week, then showing fans love on Twitter, calling us, my foxes. Like, the guy's just doing everything right so far. So yeah, long may number 10, our new number 10, continue with that, Chris.
Yeah, the kid's ticking all the boxes. I think it's good to highlight those players that are doing the highlight reel stuff, but I'll just also give a bit of credit to some of the other, like I think Doyle playing
Excellent.
down the left, that is a nice reassurance to Madden. It gives him that freedom to know that he's got someone behind him that he can rely on. And I think he's been good. And also, I'll give Harry Winks some credit. I think I've loved watching Harry Winks in a Leicester shirt so far this season. He gives he has a natural ability to find space, which is so precious in a league like this. Like, he's always wanting the ball. He's always looking for the ball. He knows where the space is. He's always willing to, he plays the smart ball. I've really enjoyed him. I think we've got a star there, not only for this league, but I think in the Premier League as well. It's great to see him involved. But yeah, I mean, the guy, maybe go back to him, he's doing all the right things. I mean, we were looking for that guy that I think as a fan base, we could collectively kind of come together and root for this season. And I think he might be the guy. And I mean, we lost a hell of a player in Harvey Barnes. But hey, we may have found someone that at least might not fill all of his boots, but is going a long way at the minute to kind of step up to that position.
I was going to say losing Harvey. Sorry, I was just going to say losing Harvey sucks, but honestly, thus far, has anybody missed anything?
I don't know. I think he would tear this league up. I think he would. I think he would have teared this league up already.
The 35 million. 35 million is pretty useful, though. Go ahead, Jason.
Steffi did something. I think it was like the 35th minute or like 40th minute, somewhere around there. Like, he started off right. He was on the ball a lot, and then the game got away from him. He wasn't seeing any of the ball. He was being kind of marked out of the game. We weren't keeping the ball as well as we were earlier in the game, and he was just having trouble kind of getting back into the game. And he did something where, like, he just said, like, he just saw like a switch in his head, and he said, all right, like, I'm going to force my way back into this game. And he just ran over to Huddersfield players. He didn't win the ball. I think it was a foul. I think he was whistled for a foul. Maybe it was a throw-in for them, but it was just like, it made me think of like an ice hockey player who's kind of out of the game a bit, and just like, all right, like, next shift I'm just going to go out and hit someone. And that's just like what he did. And then the next few minutes he was back on the ball again. He was involved again. And it just, we've been missing that attitude where like a player, like we just never had anyone, maybe Kalechi a bit during sometimes last year. Madison earlier in the season, but then he really, really did lose it. We just never had anyone who would just take the game by the scruff of its neck. And we're missing that attitude. And if you don't have that in this division, well, like, I'm sorry, it's going to be a long 46 games. And that, I don't know, just that moment really resonated with me. And I just watched him do that. I was like, damn, this guy gets it. This guy, like, he understands like what he has to do to succeed at this level, and also to like keep his team fired up and keep the fans fired up.
Yeah, and man, that's a great point. I haven't really thought about that. When we haven't had, that's really been a void that we've had in the team since Prime Vardy kind of faded out, He, for years, that's who we relied on, when he would come on and fix it for us. And now that he's getting up there, yeah, it is great. And I think that's what so many of us, we waited and we waited and we waited for Matters to be that player. And there were games where it would appear, and he did save our ass multiple times during that Brandon year. But he never was quite to that level. So I'm with you. And, for Mavididi, the thing that I liked the most about it was it would have been very easy for him to, try to throw 2 or 3 more moves on that to make it a prettier shot to the corner, or try to do a back heel, just something to make it more than just kick it as hard as you can and hopefully get some luck, because that is what this league is about. I mean, you just have to, I think about the famous Chris Wood goal from the championship a few years ago, our last time in the championship, when the keeper goes to clear it. I think it might have been Reading, or the keeper goes to clear it and just kicks it straight into Chris's face, and it bounces right back into the goal. So that's the kind of shit that's going to happen week in and week out. And yeah, for him to have that recognition of, I'm just going to kick this fucker and hope that it gets in was huge. So yeah, let's move on, guys, from there. I thought I want to give a shout out to Wanya Marsal getting his first start in the league for Leicester City. He played last week in the League Cup, but this is his first start in the championship for us. And number 40 looks pretty good so far for a youngster. Jason, what are your thoughts so far on him?
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of an edge over McAteer right now, and he probably did enough in the Burton game to get a start. He's still young. You can see some of the decision making isn't quite there. He's a little tentative in certain situations, but that's just going to come with experience. And I think we might want to bring in a more experienced or more dynamic player right now, and then find our spots to play Wanya. But I like him, and it's encouraging that we're starting to see the young guys get chances, and hopefully this is the start of like us actually treating our academy and our under 23s and everything below that as a feeder for the first team that plays the same system, so these players can come in and slot in seamlessly with the side. We just have not been doing that for so many years. I just completely baffles me that like we finally took us hiring Enzo Maresca to realize like, oh yeah, this is what you're supposed to do with the team. But he was good. It does seem like he and like Kelechi Iheanacho like has a real liking to him. I noticed during the Burton game, even before the game started, Kelechi was like in his ear talking to him, and every time he did something well, Kelechi was encouraging him. Saw a little bit more of that. Again, this weekend. So, I love to see a senior player do that, a senior player do that with a young winger.
Yeah, your thoughts, Chris? Anything on the young man?
Yeah, I think ultimately, look, I haven't seen a Leicester City right winger since the Riyad Mahrez days. So why not try something different? Why not try and give us an option out there and just see what happens? I agree with Jason. I think if we're thinking about the transfer window, we always say this as Leicester fans, but we would like priority of a right winger is probably high on the list. But if we can afford to maybe miss a position, then we're used to not playing with a right winger, so be it. But thought he was pretty good. I think confidence is going to be a key. these kids are young, so and they're going to make mistakes. They're going to get up that football IQ. Playing more and more games in this championship is going to make them better players by just experiencing different situations and things like that. But I think ultimately, if they're aggressive, I think Maresca is just looking for them to play their game. And yeah, damn right, Jason, 100% agree. Like, can't believe it has taken this lot. Like, there isn't. Just why it take, and this is maybe for a podcast, it could be a podcast in itself, but just looking at our academy recently and thinking about, well, what is going wrong there? Why aren't we what is it about our processes that aren't allowing some of these players to get a bit of first team action is definitely something we need to address, because you look at a few teams down there and that they're developing those players, they're building those players, they're selling those players for a lot of money. And that's one of our financial requirements, is to use our homegrown talent pool to generate money, because from an FFP standpoint, it's all profit. And that's a huge thing for us. So yeah, we need to look into that more. But I think I agree. I think he'll be first choice over McAteer, I reckon, moving forward. But yeah, I probably expect us to do something in the window.
Well, I think it speaks to Enzo, kind of the fact that we're already seeing this. You don't go to your interview at a place like Seagrave and look at this place and be like, this is just going to be a short-term job for me. I think Enzo looked at that. He sees the infrastructure at the club. And I honestly, and maybe this is the optimist in me, but I really hope that he is planning on this becoming, a long-term post for him, where he can, make his mark, Jason.
Well, that's up to John Rudkin, I think. Like, are you going to give the manager what he needs to succeed? Are we going to reinvent the youth setup and make it more of a feeder for the first team, and more of a like create a talent pool that we can sell players from? Because if we're not going to do that, I could see someone like Maresca getting very frustrated. Like, he doesn't, like, he's got a little bit of Nigel Pearson about him. Like, if you listen to his interviews, he's not like that forthcoming with the reporters. He's just he seems he's got his favorite, kind of like Pearson had his one guy that he would do his sit downs with, and Maresca's got Guillaume, and I'm sure he was promised certain things going into the job, and here he is already starting to keep her. So, we have a couple of weekends left in the window. So I don't know. It is still too early to tell. I don't want to, kind of create a personality and create motivations for Maresca in my head that are just from my imagination. We need to still learn more about him. But you know what? We've kind of just relied on a manager who is the big personality, and kind of just it seems to be the guy who just the manager will sort it out. We've got players, and the rest will fix itself, and we'll stay up in the league. We really need to sort of think differently about the football club and the future of the football club and how we get there. And I don't know. I hope that Maresca took the job with an eye on building something and creating a long-lasting legacy. But we have to see how this works out. I love the idea. Like I was saying, I think earlier in the season, just the romanticism of having a new tradition of Italian managers and another Danish keeper. I think it's great. I hope that becomes part of the Leicester City identity, along with some kind of recognizable style of play and a strong academy. But we have to, the future remains to be written, and we'll see what happens. I think the next few weeks will be very telling as far as what Enzo Maresca's future is going to look like at us.
It's also nice to have a Polish guy back in the side again. I think since Wazzle, I don't know if we've had one in there since Wazzle, so nice to have that as well. Cool guys. So yeah, I guess the quick summary is another game, another grind out kind of game that's going to be incredibly important all year, where there's multiple chances for stuff to go wrong, but we find a way to get a freaking shutout and get those 3 points. So who cares what the hell it looks like at the end of the year, because we're not going to remember that it was one that we're going to remember those 3 points. And yeah, for me, that's the important part. And that's the shit that we were missing so many times last season, where we just were the complete inability to see out games. And like I said, long may it continue, guys.
Any last doom and gloom though, guys. Like,
No,
I am happy.
so.
Like, we won 3 games in a row. Every time we win, I love it. I'm enjoying it. I don't care how we're doing it. We're grinding it out. And so I want that out there for the record. Like, you guys know, you've been talking to me all week. You know how much I love, winning these games.
Absolutely. I think that anybody that's listening to this podcast right now is enough of a Leicester City fan to know why we are being a bit reserved and not just singing from the rooftops right now that we're going to win the league by 115
it's like an angry reserved, isn't it? Because it's like, we know we're down here because we were absolute crap last year, and we're just angry at the fact that we were crap last year, and we're just angry that we got into this situation. So it's like, whatever success, and we get super happy, we still just go back to the fact, God damn it, we're still down here because we were crap last year. Like, it's just an iterative cycle. But yeah, I know I'm super excited. I mean, why can't you be excited? You just won the first 3 games in 100 years, so
there was a little residual stuff, right? Like, where I don't think it's kind of like a kind of a breakup that happens, and like you didn't get your closure.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's still some things like I got to get off my chest and tell you.
And then you see him on the telly with his little notebook scribbling down notes at Ross County, and you're like,
for me, that's not just about Brendan, but it's also about like the board, right? And Rudkin and all this stuff. It's like, all right, well, we got relegated, but we just don't talk about it. We just move on, and like fans don't know what's changed, what's different behind the scenes, but we're just gonna like pretend it never happened and just like keep going.
It'd be the ultimate Leicester
Southeast Asia, just like we're another Premier League team. we just don't acknowledge it, and we just keep going.
It'll be the ultimate Leicester thing on the day that we touch wood win the league. They'll put on the website a little PDF of like the debrief of the previous season for us all to read, and not report it or tell anybody, but it'll just be available at that point.
A quick summary.
Yeah, quick summary. Yeah, doesn't matter. We won the league. We're back.
Yeah, we appointed a special investigator. It's like a house, the hearing part. No, it just goes away.
Oh man!
Look, that's what beating Huddersfield Town does. It just makes us all in a good mood, and we forget about it.
That's exactly right. Suck it, Terriers. Chris, let's go ahead right now, if you've got it ready, and send it over to our reporter on the scene, Mr. Ollie McLean. Is going to send us in his little summary of the match. So if we're ready for that, let's send it away to Ollie right now, who was at the match on Saturday.
Hey Matt, hey US Foxes, hope all is well. Hope you've had a nice, enjoyable summer. What a nice break from the football. But now it's back, better than ever, and we're starting off very strongly. Back-to-back wins in the league, back-to-back wins for the start of the season, which I couldn't be happier with. Didn't think it'd be like that to start with, but yeah, extremely pleased with how the summer's been with signings and just how we've looked in playing. We just look a totally different team, and I'm okay with all the passing around the back and side to side passing because it's working for now anyway. But yeah, I'm buzzing. I could talk for hours how how excited I am for this season. I've been screeching like a little girl getting tickets for Rotherham away when last year we were playing Man United away. But it's the joys of this football club. But yeah, today 1-0 against Huddersfield. Away days were back, and what a result that is. It's a scrappy game, but look, not every single game in this league is going to be beautiful and a piece of art. But a win is a win, and that is a big win to kick off our season again. More than it's exactly what we could have asked for, and it's so good to see the passion from some of the players like Harry Winks, for instance. He just loves it, and he just constantly looks like he wants it. I could talk for hours about all the players because they all had a great game. I'm even going to give a special mention to Yannick Vestergaard, who, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan at all, but he, bar a few misleading passes and shit passes, he had a good game. He did have a very good game. They seem to trust him on the ball, and I can see why, because he was calm. Like I said, except from the few misplaced passes, but yeah, everyone was great today. It was a fantastic return to away days. Yeah, just a brilliant day. So I'm buzzing. And Chris, regarding your me wanting to try the IPA at the KP, not best pleased about that because I'm not an IPA drinker myself, but because you asked so nicely and because I fucking love you all, I'll happily try it. I'll try and do it this Saturday against Cardiff. So yeah, buzzing to be back. Absolutely, I'm so happy that the season's back and we're back winning games. Yeah, let's keep that faith. Let's get behind the lads and let's fucking do this Premier League charge up the city.
Absolute legend, Ollie McLean, for you when you need him. What a lad. Gotta get you that IPA review as quick as you can, Chris.
I cannot wait, dude. I cannot wait.
I'm with you on the IPAs, Ollie. That's just not my thing. So I know if I had to be the one to test it out, I wouldn't be too thrilled. So I really, I know you'd really take one for the team doing that for Chris.
Man, you can just hear it in Ollie's voice, though, boys. The optimism and yeah, who if I'd have told you last year at any point in the season that Ollie would be singing the praises of Yannick fucking Vestergaard, but I'm glad that he said it because we gotta take the time to give the guy some props because thus far he, with Connor Cody being announced that he's out with a 10-week injury, whatever it is, going to be 6 now or something like that. But the fact that Connor's not available right away, the guy we'd want to plug in. Yannick's done a great job for us thus far, Jason, stepping in and stepping into a role that otherwise I'm not sure who we're throwing in there.
He's done all right. He's done all right. I mean, if Coventry had any kind of quality on that team aside from Gustavo Hamer, the results probably different. But I thought he like overall has played well. It did seem like from the preseason that he was the sub for kind of Cody. And I guess Harry Shooter's on his way out, and don't really understand that. But I guess Maresca is he wants everyone to be able to play the ball at their feet, and that's something that Vestergaard I would say is like one of the better parts of this game. And so maybe the setup and the personnel isn't what Maresca wanted, but I will give Vestergaard credit for stepping in, filling that role, doing a decent job back there for us. And you know what, like he probably doesn't love coming to work every day. I'm sure he knows that he's not the most popular player on the squad. Anyone who was at the open training session could probably confirm that he just went right inside and didn't really want to spend much time with the fans. And I guess you can't blame the guy for that, but he has been decent for us, and I think he'll probably be good enough for us.
Yeah, I wonder whether he's and quite rightly he sees this as an opportunity to get himself in the shop window. These first couple of games, you look at some of the trash defending in the Premier League especially the new clubs that came up. They could probably look for someone like Vestergaard, and maybe we can get something there. Like he's probably of the starting 11, one of the players that I think could go if we got. But then the question is, does he want to go? I mean, that's the other problem we have is like these players, they're maybe not going to offer. Well, now maybe if he got the 50% reduction in his contract, it makes these lower league Premier League teams somewhat maybe more attractive than it was, say, 6 months ago when we were in the Premier League. I don't know. But yeah, I'm with Jason. I mean, it's obviously 5, isn't it? So the 5 that he's probably interested in are the 3 that played, Cody and Justin will be like, so it'll be 3 from those 5. And I think kind of broadening out it a little bit, I think somebody like Luke Thomas needs to get out. I don't know how he's not going to, I don't think he doesn't really fit in this Maresca formation. So it's like, he's young. Do we try and get him out because we're not going to loan into a championship side. So what do we do with a player like that? It's like, there's all of these interesting decisions that we've got to think about over these next 2 weeks about the development of the 11, improving the 11, but then what do we do with the fringe squad and kind of how they fit into the plans as well. So I think we'll be super busy over these. I mean, rumor has it that I think Percy tweeted tonight that the Chelsea the Chelsea guy should be signing tomorrow, which is a huge thing.
I heard that before.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen Friday.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I don't know. But yeah, I think it'll be busy.
Well, I gotta say, to reassure everyone out there, if there's one thing that this club and the people have been very good at, it's moving on fringe players. We what do we have? We had Pappy Mendy not in one of the squads, so we can't freaking move players on, and we're so there's a lot of work. It's still, a lot of stuff has to happen in the squad in the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be. We don't have the strong hand in negotiations anymore in our position. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be able to make all of these deals happen. But one thing I will say is that I think this is one of the things that I've really enjoyed about our time right now in the football league. Is that when you watch the Premier League, when you go on social media, people want to watch. It's like they care more about the transfers than they do the football and the money. Oh, this guy's going for this much, and now this guy's going to Saudi Arabia, and this is, and it's like, I don't know. It's kind of fun to not worry so much about that, even though we do still need to worry about it. But just a lot of those distractions just aren't there anymore when we're watching the game, and that's just it's just so refreshing, and it reminds me of what it used to be like watching football. How much fun was it to just not know everything about every team in the league and everyone that you're playing, because you're just hit over the head, especially with the big clubs. And now it's all right, now we get to learn about new clubs and players we haven't thought about. And I kind of like that. I think it kind of reminds me of what it was like when we all first started watching football.
Yeah, who would have thought that Huddersfield had Danny Ward up front for them? Little things like that are great. Just these little, and we 100%. I think also just going back to no VAR. I mean, me and Matt, we could celebrate and not have to worry about if the ref doesn't immediately blow his whistle for offside, it's a goal. I mean, you see the mess tonight in the United game and how Wolves got screwed over at the end, I think, for that penalty. And it's so refreshing to just have it without VAR, play the game, the ref blows, whatever. That's great. Yeah. It is great.
Yeah, definitely some pluses, some ones that I don't think any of us thought about in our when we were pretty depressed at the start of or at the end of last season, knowing where we were going. But it thus far, 5 stars for the championship experience for the first time in a few years. So let's dive into next week, guys. Cardiff City, the Bluebirds. We haven't played them in quite a while. Actually, it was Claude Puel was in charge the last time that we played these guys, and we were starting a back four of Pereira, Ricky, Soyuncu, Harry Maguire, and Ben Chilwell. Also, Navi Mindy played as well as Damari Gray in that side. All the way back in 2018. We played them on December 29th, and Cardiff beat us in the 92nd minute, despite us having almost 80% possession. So, and Neil Warnick was in charge of that Cardiff side. So, all sorts of things lapping back up here, Jason. Your thoughts going into Cardiff? We play them. It'll be a 7 a.m. kickoff for the Foxes on the West Coast here, 10 a.m. kickoff for our East Coast Foxes. They have started the season. They drew Leeds in their first match and then lost to QPR last week, which is says a lot about them. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Jason? Initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this Cardiff side, like they seem to be a side where like you just don't know like who's going to show up. I mean, they were pushed to penalties by Colchester. Cup, probably a side they would have expected to walk all over. Yeah. And to give Leeds, who still at that time, their Leeds squad is crumbling right before our eyes. But at least like not everybody was gone last weekend, and then to give them a game, but then to lose to QPR, I don't know what we're going to see like out of this Cardiff side, and I kind of like it. Like I'm learning just like you all, like, and maybe I probably should have done a little bit more homework coming into tonight. But throughout the week, I'll look here and there. But it's kind of fun to go into a game without just a blank slate and without any prejudices about a side.
Yeah, without Rebecca Lowe smashing you over the head with KDB stats. Chris, your thoughts heading into Cardiff?
So I was at that game, Matt, 2018. It was in December. I'd gone home from San Diego to
remember that now.
The UK for Christmas. It was the epitome of Puel ball. It was awful, absolutely awful. I don't think we even had a shot on goal. I left in like the 88th minute, upset that we were going to draw. I think Cardiff were bottom of the league or towards the bottom at that point. And as I'm walking back towards the pub, all I hear is just when away fans. When the score at the KP, it's this really weird muted cheer, and I'm walking out of the stadium and all I hear is that, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake, we've lost. Just adds to my list of whenever I go home, we just never win. But yeah, it was a good. I think to Jason's point, I ain't got a clue, mate. I really don't. I think every team is going to come to the KP and think it's their FA Cup final and know that they've got something to prove. I'll chip on the shoulder and go, okay, we're going to play the best in the league. Let's go. So I think they'll be aggressive. I think it'll be. I just think they'll be up for it, and we just need to match them with intensity. I think we can. I think on paper we're the better side, and we'll just see what happens. But if we're not up for these games, then teams are going to beat us. Like we have to make sure that we're mentally in the right place, because otherwise, I think we're going to struggle.
Well,
they've got Aaron Ramsey out there, so they do have a little bit of quality. But if we can kind of shut him down a bit, I think.
From what I've seen though thus far, Jason, that's about all that they have. They're offensively, just the highlights I've watched, they just look a mess going forward. So I really hope that we can. And to your point, Chris, that these are the games that we've had to thus far and had to grind out. So far, so good, Jason and Chris.
Yeah, it's a shame though. It's kind of an epitome of what multiple years in the championship can do, and like how important it is for us to try and get out at the first time of asking. Because you think about 2018, we played that game, that was in the Premier League, and then 5 years later, now we're talking about a Cardiff side who are maybe, as you said, Matt, struggling, kind of losing games here and there, and so I think it's just the importance for this season to get out of the league as quick as possible and get back in the Premier League.
This is going to be the first game also we're going to have a really tricky winger to deal with, and with our setup, with our kind of inverted winger that really mostly plays as a center midfielder, like we're going to have probably Josh Bowler on the right side, and Pereira and Doyle are really going to have their hands full, I think, with him. And it's going to be interesting to see how Mavididi kind of handles that, and if he still will have the freedom to kind of go forward and keep pushing up the pitch. And that's it. Aaron Ramsey and Josh Bowler and those little bits. That's the extent of my scouting report on Cardiff City.
That's perfect. Just one final note: the last time we played Cardiff, substitutes were Shinji Okazaki and Rashid Ghazal. So that's some names that you haven't heard in a while.
The game before that season, 2018, was a really important and poignant and cathartic moment, I think, in the club's history. And it was the first game after the helicopter crash. Wow. It was away at Cardiff. And Cardiff fans were very kind to Leicester fans. Cardiff's owner is a pretty controversial guy, and that he handled things pretty. He was very classy. Demarai Gray scored that just incredibly emotional goal that gave us the 1-0 victory. He takes off his shirt, and he had a message there for Bishai. Gets a yellow card, and the Cardiff fans started booing the referee for doing that. And then, there was just that moment of just unity between the fans and the players, and the players spent a lot of time in front of the away end after that game, and just people were just letting out their emotions, and you could really see that the club was won again. And I hope in some ways that this season kind of brings back some unity, and hopefully under some better circumstances as the year keeps going.
Absolutely. Cool, guys. Well, we'll start wrapping this thing up. Wanted to give a shout out to all the U.S. Foxes around the country. Some incredible meetups this week. I think everybody took advantage of our first, decently timed match to get together for the first time of the year. We had incredible meetup in San Diego. New York had great numbers. Shout out to the Dallas Foxes and the Rochester Foxes. They had incredible numbers at their meetup. Philly Foxes, of course, coming in strong. So yeah, guys, it was awesome. We're going to try and document all that stuff this year. If you could use the hashtag US Foxes, we're going to try and do a weekly roundup. I don't know if you guys saw it on Instagram and Twitter. We sent out pictures of all the groups and just try to spread the good word and remind people that the meetups are happening around the country. And if it's happening, guys, use that hashtag and let us know so that we can direct some more Foxes towards your meetup and hopefully grow your numbers and grow the amount of people following this amazing club of ours. So yeah, guys, please keep it up. That was so good to see. And man, we had a great time in San Diego. Shout out to the Bluefoot and Rodney for giving us a dedicated TV with sound for a championship side. That was pretty awesome. But we are one of the biggest groups there, so he really has no choice, Chris. But that was awesome. So yeah, guys, please use the hashtag US Foxes if you are getting together, and we will make sure to get you documented and show you and share your information. As you guys can see, Jim Harris not with us again. He's still with his beautiful bride in Cancun, celebrating, having a great vacation, but he wanted to send along some words to the faithful listeners. So yeah, Chris, you want to play Jim's message now?
And wish you all the best. Dana and I are out here.
Start it over.
Well, Matt, while I'm doing that, do you want to maybe point out to the faithful Foxes fans how they may actually be able to see the game on Saturday? Because obviously now we've moved away from the world of NBC and Peacock.
Great point. Thus far, guys, we've been pretty spoiled. All the matches have been on ESPN. So if you had an ESPN subscription, you've been able to see all of those. But yeah, this is going to be the first one that will require a subscription to the Foxes Hub. What was the final price on that, Jason?
Oh, geez, I think it was like $170.
Yeah,
like converts to something like that.
It's like 170 if you want to pay the flat rate. They do have monthly options as well, but that is unfortunately going to be your only option to watch the match this week, guys, is to get on lcfc.com and buy a pass. Another option would be if you are, in a group with the New York Foxes, the San Diego Foxes, somebody is going to have paid for that subscription. So just find out who it is and buy them some beers. I think that would probably be a sufficient payment through the season if you just buy the guys some beers.
And start your own groups too.
Yeah,
Get some
exactly.
people together, pull in a couple bucks, everyone splits the package and find some spot to watch. Get together and watch.
Absolutely.
Some photos.
More camaraderie would be that's a perfect point. So yeah, go ahead and let us know. Let's hear from Jason. Chris, if you got that ready to go.
Okay.
From Jim, sorry.
Hi, boys. Just a quick note from Cancun to say hello and wish you all the best. Dana and I are out here enjoying ourselves, but great to see we got 3 points and getting through and getting some good wins and scrambling against the Huddersfield team that put up a fight, but we can get better. On we go. Just going to piss this league. Hi, boys. Just a quick note.
Piss this league. Yeah,
hello.
Ben. So yeah, shout out to him, and hopefully they have a wonderful trip and will be back with us next week. Back where he belongs on the show. So on that note, guys, thank you for joining us for another edition of the US Foxes podcast. Don't think we could have asked for a better start to the season than literally a historic for the first time in 100 years, 3 wins. So long may it continue. Let's keep up the good vibes, keep getting together, guys. Reach out to us on Twitter or X, whatever. Let us know if you're getting together. We would love to spread the word and tell people about your meetup. And yeah, let's keep it rolling. Thank you as always for listening to the US Foxes podcast. For Jason in New York and Chris in San Diego and Jim who's in Cancun and Ollie in Leicester. We will talk to you next week right here on the US Foxes podcast. Peace, guys.